Here we go. Hi, if we haven't met, my name's Janet Marie Stanley, and I'm the host of Beauty, Balance, and Peace, a foundation for weaving voices of peace. I'm here with a friend and colleague, Karen Armstrong, today, who's going to share her gifts around singing and Reiki and a few other important things. So I want to tell you a bit about Karen before I bring her on. Karen is a Reiki Master, and she also teaches Reiki to many other people. She's a Biophoton Light Therapist, which I'm excited about learning a little bit more about. And she's an Enneagram Coach, and that's something I'm also very curious about. She's the founder of Inside Out, her Reiki and healing business, and she's also an award-winning singer, part of a choir that has won many awards. So we're just so happy to have you here, Karen, and welcome. And what would you like to tell us about? And I think we'd like to start with maybe the singing. That sounds really, really intriguing and juicy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Janet. It's been an honor to have you reach out and to be able to be part of this special time. It's really spoken to me. And so singing, yes, it's something that I can't even tell you it was birthed in me, because I remember as far back, I think my parents have both been very much lovers of music, but as a young girl, as soon as I could get a transistor radio, I think I was 5 years old, I would fall asleep with it under my pillow every night. And that was tough because they were battery operated at that time. So my parents would say that they had to keep replacing the battery every day, and I had to think of a way to turn it off. But it carried on through public school. I remember times feeling a little bit lonely in those teenage years, and as I was outside in the farm rural area waiting for my bus to come and get me, I would sing. I would sing to the cows in the field, grazing across the road.
Just lucky cows.
I don't know. There's something about feeling safe expressing my emotions, feeling safe expressing my throat chakra, as I have learned as an adult, has been the place that my growth is. Expressing my truth, feeling safe to do that, to be okay being different, to be okay if somebody doesn't agree with me, because peacemaking was kind of part of my upbringing as well, wanting everyone around me happy, and then it would have me feel happy. So music's been really huge. Through school, in the choirs, in the band, I was part of the BC Provincial Honor Choir at that time. But when I finished school, I all of a sudden was looking for a way to express this. And one day when I was working, I would have been in around 20-ish and working at a part-time job while I was going to school, to university. And now I'm in Toronto, or in Aurora. And a gal came in to the hotel that I was looking after banquets, and to organize an event for a women's singing group. And so when I wrote down the title of, the information of who they were, I'm like, wow, it was like, what do you sing? And she said, well, have you ever heard of the Men's Barbershop organization? I said, absolutely. I love that kind of sound. And she said, well, we're the women's counterpart. It's a Sweet Adeline organization. It's international. And would you like to come out and hear us? I said, yes, please. And she picked me up the next Tuesday, and that was 38 years ago. So
and this is a choir that sings without musical accompaniment, right?
That's correct. So it's 4-part a cappella. So a cappella means that all of the sound is created from our human body. So whether it's voice or clapping, or the sound has to come from the body, not an instrument. Our body is the instrument, and the harmony that is present there. First of all, music is a language I feel that transcends our verbal language. It's a universal language. We get the feeling of music whether we understand the words or whether there are words. So it can take us into all places of our being, that sacred space, that celebration space, the contemplative, the unity. So
it sounds like connection to the divine, you know, the realms, the higher realms. I'm just still reading David Abram's book, Spell of the Sensuous, I think it is, and in it he talks about when he has, you know, inadvertently confronted a wild animal that might be a little scary. He sings, and it's the language that calms things for him and for the animal. It seems to have worked for the animal as well. So you just basically named that, didn't you? That it connects us to other beings and other. I love that. Yeah,
we all have music in us. Yeah.
Well, some of us more than others, but I'm looking forward to hearing your voice. I really am.
It's interesting because I don't solo very much, really. Being part of the group, I sing. Thankfully, I sing what we call the lead part. So usually the melody, and then we have bass, the low percussion and resonant sound. The barbershop chord is comprised around the bass, and then baritone and tenor. And our tenor in the women's group is the high part, like a soprano. So different than an SATB. Yeah, but it's super fun.
Beautiful. They say, you know, I can speak any language except Greek, and it's all Greek to me. So thank you for the education, because I don't actually know what all those things mean.
All right.
But I'm looking forward to learning.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So your being in the choir has taken you all over the world.
It has. It has, yes. Really fortunate to be part of the North Metro chorus. We call ourselves a chorus because we don't just stand and sing. We actually choreograph and bring the music alive with the movement. And, you know, we're often for contest, we're in a costume that would also lend itself to the theme of the music that we're performing. So I've had a chance to do some really fantastic, like, musical packages, you know, the Les Mis and the Newsies and Oklahoma and Mary Poppins. And so it's really a fun thing, and you get out of your own head because you become the message of the music. And you know, we are a very there's 130 of us in our group, so it's a very large group. And when we go to contest, we work very hard every week. We'll work on our competition material and work at, you know, the technical things and the entertainment piece and the energetic piece and the choreography and all of that. But really, when we are coming to stage, it's so beautiful. Our director and all of us feel now it's just time to sing, bring our gifts to the audience and to change lives. It's like that's our focus once we're on stage. It's really just to change lives by sharing our gifts.
So just to change lives. That's all you're doing is changing lives.
and in that, it changes ours. It's, you know, it's a beautiful community. Yes, worldwide, because we have been fortunate enough to always win our regional competition, which then qualifies us to go to the international competition. And that's held all over the world, mostly in the US, because the core membership is in the US, but definitely, you know, thankfully US includes Hawaii. So we've been to Hawaii.
Oh, now I want to join the choir for sure.
Right? Yes. And places that we wouldn't normally see otherwise, and get to, you know, meet the people there. And there are choruses from all over the world, Sweden and England and New Zealand and Australia. And we all come together at international, and we all, like whatever city we're embarking upon, I swear we bring so much infused light and harmony to the city that we are at for the week of our contest. We're singing everywhere, in the elevators and the restaurants and the venue. It's so much. It's fun. Women getting away. We're shopping. We're eating. We're laughing. We're singing.
It sounds juicy and perfect.
Yeah, it's
it really
magical.
does.
Yeah.
So how does this, did music connect you to the Reiki at all? Is there a path, or is that a separate?
You know, at first I would have thought it to be separate, Janet, because Reiki came to me. It's funny, we say Reiki finds us. And Reiki found me at a time in my 30s when I was in corporate, the corporate arena, a young family, and trying to be the super mom, being able to take everything on, and that I can do it attitude. And, you know, I really came to a challenging and crashing place. And a colleague said to me one day, as she looked at me, and I was just holding it together that day. And she said, "You need Reiki." And I said, you know, when you say it's all Greek to you, I said, yeah, I have no idea what you just said to me. And she said, "It will help you find your truth." And it's a very interesting way to have someone describe Reiki or a healing art. But in my being, that was the answer I need. Or that was the description I needed, because I knew that I needed to connect with my truth. And so I went on that, and it was a full weekend, and a way that I got in touch with a part of me that I didn't or wasn't aware of was so alive inside me. This energy that was so alive inside me, that I had held in for years, trying just to hold it all together. It was big emotion that was in me. And thankfully, the Reiki master that I was drawn to incorporated sound into her work. So that was the synchronicity for me. And so as you ask about connecting music to Reiki, there was a freedom that comes in releasing energy in the body through the vibration of voice, of sound, not voice really. It's body vibration and sound. And that was a very powerful experience for me. And my life really changed from that weekend in that place. And I didn't know at that time Reiki would be such a big part of my life. All I really knew was, at some level, I felt as I put my hands on someone else in the class, it was like I was coming home. There was part of me that landed and said, I'm home, whatever that means. So Yeah, it was a beautiful time. And
It sounds really, really beautiful, really deep.
yes, it was very deep.
Yeah.
And those deep moments don't always feel fantastic in the time.
Not in the moment, no.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes when we have a true calling, it does show up with that kind of depth.
Yeah.
And from what I know of you, this is a place that you were meant to be. And it's a
Yes.
gift that you have to share, like singing.
Yes.
And it's interesting, too, because the first time I had a Reiki treatment, the practitioner used sound as well.
Ah.
So I think and not all practitioners do,
No.
but it is a really important piece for some people.
For some people, yeah.
Yeah.
When the energy in the body is feeling very stuck and needs to shift without kind of going into the story. We don't always have to bring back up some of the painful stories and things. We just have to let it go.
Yeah. I love that. I find that with energy work as well. It doesn't have to go into the drama. It needs to be acknowledged and maybe touched, blessed with love, but then released, and you're free.
Yeah.
Make space for something new.
Oh, exactly. And that's such a really important phrase, as we let that go. I always say that we're making space in our body to bring in more light and bring in more love. And that's, I think, how we connect to our truth. I kind of feel like Reiki gives me the opportunity to help someone understand the language of their body, because we hang out in our head for, myself included, of course, for most of our day in our active doing place. And our North American culture is very much on that, though it's shifting. And thank you for opportunities like this to stop and to tune into our beingness. And so Reiki, I feel, is a pause in our doing life to stop and whether that's through meditation, through Reiki, through body work, through yoga, through music, we can tune in to our breath. We can tune into the pulse of our being. And then when we do that, we're more tuned into the pulse around us in a more real way and a receptive way. When we can hear ourselves, we can hear others.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how having a voice is connected to hearing and listening.
Yeah.
They're both so entwined.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like that breath.
Mm-hmm. And I'm taking a few breaths myself because I'm having a bit of an allergy attack while we're talking. So my apologies for the roughness of my voice, but it's a clearing. I'm letting go of something that's ready to go. And it came up right while we're talking about voice and clearing.
Wow.
So I know that I love the way you describe your experience with Reiki and the way that you work. It sounds so in tune and so divinely guided. And you also teach Reiki to many other people. So you're rippling out the medicine, if you will, or the gift. So how did you get into teaching?
I had a professional practice from 2000 until, I'm going to say it started prompting in about 2008. Inside, I just felt like, wow, I always knew somewhere that I would be drawn to do my mastery journey. I just didn't, I know that Spirit gives me an impulse and speaks to me loudly when the time is right. Because, as I say, I am an active person, involved in community and involved in the music and my business and family are, it's super important. So it's not like I'm bored and looking for something. It really listening and the call. So it started in 2008, and I started to inquire and tune in. It was like, okay, it was almost like preparation. And then near the end of 2009, it was undeniable. I start dreaming about things when they're really that important. I guess spirit can connect with me stronger when I shut off my conscious mind in the daytime. So I followed up on that, and I did my mastery journey in 2010, and was initiated on January 11th, 2011. So the numbers were a strong call for me as well, and that was the call to teach. You know, that's a mastery journey, is then to step into that of teacher. And though I said to my Reiki master, he said when he initiated me, so do you have your first dates for your classes? And I said, no, I'd like to just be with this energy for a while. And the next week I got an email from someone who I'd never heard of. I didn't know who she was, and asking when my next first degree class was. And I thought it was a plant. I called up my master and said, so who's so-and-so? He said, I don't know. Why? Anyway,
it was a plant by spirit.
It was a plant by spirit, because I answered back and said, I'm just looking into those dates now. And how did you hear about me? Because I hadn't announced it anywhere. And she said, oh, 3 people gave me your name. And I set the dates, and I came back to her, and I never heard from her again, ever. I don't know who she is or was, or it's.
But you got the message.
It made me smile, and I got the message, and it started. Yeah. It started that, and I really feel that people are drawn to the teacher that they're meant to be with, and the group that they're meant to be with. I'm so in awe of spirit lining classes up, whether it's 3 people or 6 people. I like to keep my classes small and intimate, but there's always a very strong thread of connection within the group, and each of them become, more for each other and teaching in the moment. And I'm there to guide, to encourage, to create that sacred space for them to tune into their own gifts and cheerlead past the fears. We all have our fears, and it's not about getting rid of those fears. It's about becoming more comfortable with that and allowing it to create more curiosity and compassion instead of avoidance or anxiety, as that's so strong in our society right now. But so it's such a it feels like a very big honor and responsibility. I read a beautiful piece from Caroline Meese recently. She sent out one of her newsletters, and it was about the call to be of service. And I've really been reflecting on it lately. It came at the right time, but I've got it here with me, and just a little piece is, being of service to other beings is a calling. It's not a job, not a career. It's a calling, and although the calling may be packaged as a job or a career, it's merely the vessel that our calling requires, and that all it requires to be of service is a healthy you. And so that it reminded me the importance to balance my call to others with my call to myself. And the more I want to be there and reach out in the world with my gifts, the more I need to pause and come in and be there for me. It's my body is not letting me forget that these days, that sensitivity to that balance is it is heightening all the time. Yeah, it's quite crazy.
It feels like, to me, this is the connection to peace. We cannot step into our callings of service, which includes peacemaking, I think, because that's the ultimate. And that's also, for me, the essence of beauty, balance, and peace. It's weaving, and we're the first ones that we have to feel peace within.
Yes.
If we want to be able to share it. And it's not a perfectionist thing, is it? It's a work in process, day by day, moment by moment. I'm taking a lot of ribbing in my family around hosting a peace, gathering, and not always being very peaceful. It's like, go figure. It's absolutely. A day by day, moment by moment thing, isn't it?
It is.
It
is. I loved listening to Mandaza's opening interview. Thank you so much for that. And part that really stood out for me was when he said to be the ocean that refuses no rivers. Oh, it's like, that was,
and he is such a gentle, beautiful, wise medicine person who does bring peace, but he starts the interview with, I don't call myself a peacemaker. And it was just such a funny thing. And it's fine, because we don't think of ourselves when we step fully in our callings. It's not about us, is it? It's about doing what we came here to do. And when we were talking off camera a few minutes ago, you talked about the spotlight, and it was really beautiful how you shared that. I don't know if you still remember it, but the spotlight is not on me, it's through me, or something like that.
Yeah, I feel when if I feel like a spotlight is on me, I'm uncomfortable and I want to kind of hide, because then all of that egoic voice in my head, the critical voice, says, oh, who are you, and you're not good enough, and what if you mess up? And yet it's with the singing that if I feel like, no, the spotlight's inside me and I'm the vehicle to allow it to come out, then that feels more like a flow, and I'm the vehicle, and that somehow for me feels different, because then it feels like it's not just me.
Right. That's really beautiful. I haven't heard it put exactly that way, but I don't
think I've ever said it that way.
See what comes out when you get out of your own way. I think it's what's the essence of what's referred to when we're encouraged to become empty vessels, or the hollow reed, that kind of thing, the hollow bone that you read about in shamanic circles, is to be cleared out so that we can be channels for what wants to come through us. And I love that for myself. I love when I can get to that place, and it isn't always easy for me, but when I get there, it feels so aligned and so in flow. So much easier. There's still work to be done, but it's just so much easier to be aligned with what wants to come through me. And so thank you for that beautiful expression. I really like it.
You're welcome.
So we talked about a couple things. I don't know if you want to weave in or not, but biophoton light therapy is not something I know anything about. And I know a little bit about the Enneagram, but not too much. So do you want to bring those pieces in even lightly, or?
I can, absolutely. Again, they weren't, the biophoton definitely was not something I was looking for in my happy, full practice. It was something that came to me, especially when it comes through an instrument. I've always felt like my hands are my instrument with Reiki. And but there was a time in 2011, my husband and I went to South Africa with my father and my stepmother and a group. It was a beautiful, beautiful journey. And we came back and my stepmom got very sick. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know what it was. She had like visible bites around her ankles, and we'd been out on safari. So there was a thought of, tick fever or something in that alignment. Yeah. She went to the doctor and got blood work done and waiting for that to be incubated and tested. And she was really affected by this strongly. So a girlfriend popped over and said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen you like this. Like, I think you better go see my guy." We all have our special people. Yeah. And this happened to be a gentleman up in Collingwood who was a Biophoton Light Therapist. And it absolutely healed her in one session, because he was able to identify that there was bacteria from eating wild meat over there that her body didn't identify and was having trouble with. So it came to me, and they phoned me right away and said, "Oh, this man does stuff you would get. This is your stuff." They knew that. And anyway, time passed and I met him and worked with him and decided then that this was this was an instrument that was very highly tuned, like it's vibrational medicine, and Reiki is vibrational medicine. Mm-hmm. So I understand that homeopathy is vibrational medicine, acupuncture. So it felt, again, very right to me, and a way for me to reach out to people that weren't quite ready to accept what they can't see. Right. So hands-on healing is something that you feel and experience, but it's harder to describe to people. Whereas the light therapy is very scientific. I can go into, the scientific papers. Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who coined the term biophoton, as the light that is emitted from every living cell. So plants, animals, people, everything living has life force within its cell, and that translates into light. And so I measure the acupressure points on the fingers and toes, and it allows me to tune into the flow along the meridian lines of each of the organ systems and see which ones are under functioning or over functioning. We actually call it whether they're coherent. And if there's incoherency, then I can test the body for what it might need in order to come back into balance and apply it through light, the same frequency of light that our body operates at. And it's been a beautiful addition to my practice. And I like having the option to work with it for some of I say it's like helping to reset the body. And then if there are patterns, life belief styles, belief systems and patterns that got our body out of balance to start with to that chronic state, then we can move over to Reiki and work at the emotional level to tune in and bring the foundation back there. But it's been a really great thing. And the Enneagram, to me, relationships are a real teaching ground in this life. It is for me. It has been for me. People that I've learned, that people that push my buttons are some of my greatest teachers.
You think?
And so the Enneagram helped me to understand that facet of our human nature in our personality system, and bring more peace and compassion and freedom within our relating to ourselves and others in life. So they're all about freeing us up to be who we are, so that we're not fighting against ourselves, and bringing peace within ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's good to have lots of tools in your toolkit, that you can go to when you need it. Some people maybe more than others. So that's wonderful. And I just want to circle back. We're just, it's amazing how fast time goes when we're having this kind of conversation. So we're getting close to being ready to close, but I do want to circle back to a piece that you talked about that I think is so important in peacemaking and being peaceful in the world, and that's community. In your choir community, in your Reiki community, in your family community, and in your friends and colleagues we met recently through our, shared journey to Estonia, which was so delightful. And I feel like community is one of the biggest pillars of bringing peace. And it feels like you have such a vibrant community. Do you want to say anything about that? How it feels to be connected that way?
It's, I think it's such a strong human basic desire to feel a belonging and to feel part of community. And it's part of my social nature. I think when I find something that is really special to me, it's like I want everyone to experience it. So, it was how I got to be part of even the women's wellness circles. I'm a host there for the last, 12, 13 years, hosting a community of women once a month to come together. I can't wait for you to come and share your gifts with us and coming up. But it is, and it starts with that strong family connection. I really am a family person, and then I find my world family. So I've got my singing family and my Reiki family and my circle family. There's the villages and that connect us around the world.
And I know you to be a good neighbor to the nature family too. You love to be out in nature and connected, and that's something Mandaza talks about a lot, is extending our sense of family to include, the animals, the plants, the water, the elements. And I feel like that's something I see in you as well. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Often in my sanctuary.
Your sanctuary. Yeah. Well, as we become more peaceful, our family grows to include everybody, really. Is how it ends up. Yeah. So, Karen, is there any last piece that you'd like to bring in, or anything oh yes, we want to hear your voice. I almost forgot in my clearing fog that I'm in today. Would love to hear your voice if it still feels good. It's completely up to you.
Well, yes, this is part of something you planted, and because it is something that's been part of my life journey. I there's a song that our chorus is doing right now that feels like it's an expression of what I do and where we are, and it's called Stand in the Light. So it's a place that feels vulnerable, but it's where the richness is when we can choose to do that. So that's what this piece is called. I have my pitch pipe just to start me off. I'm not going to sing the whole piece. I'll do a verse and then I'll kind of go to the end because for time. So this is Stand in the Light. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Didn't I tell you I hear what you say? Never look back as you're walking away. Carry the music, the memories, and keep them inside you. Laugh every day. Don't stop those tears from falling down. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide, 'cause the greatest risk we'll ever take is by far to stand in the light and be seen as we are. To stand in the light and be seen as we are. Riding the storms that come raging toward as we dive. Holding our breath as we break through the surface with arms open wide. With arms open wide. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide, 'cause the greatest risk we'll ever take is by far. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. To stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light, stand in the light, and be seen as we are. Whew.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Karen. That was so beautiful. I'm just so moved and touched and filled with gratitude. Thank you for sharing that. That's so beautiful. And thank you too for all the work that you do in the world to bring peace through sharing your voice, through sharing your gifts, through sharing your healing hands and healing touch in the Reiki, and for teaching others too. It just ripples out and out and out, and it's just such an honor and privilege to be able to share with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Love this project, and I can't wait to hear and learn from the others that you bring on with you.
Wow. We're going to say goodbye for now, but my heart is just filled. I'm going to have a beautiful day with your voice ringing in my head. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Sending you a big hug.
Thank you so much. I feel that, and I